And to get his reaction on the pontiff's passing as well as the preparations of our local churches, we have Father Jerome Ceciliano, Executive Secretary of the CBCP Committee on Public Affairs. Father, a very somber morning, but thank you so much for joining us on Morning Matters today.
Yeah, good morning, Gretchen. Good morning to all your televiewers.
It is a day after the passing, and we're getting more clarity on what happened to the Pope. The Vatican says Pope Francis died of a stroke that put him into a coma and led to heart failure. But prior to that, he was seen out and about greeting public audiences. He was meeting pilgrims. He was making surprise visits at St. Peter's Basilica. He received high-level guests in the Vatican, the King and Queen, even the Vice President of the United States. Your reaction first to everything that's been happening. I mean, nobody expected this, but from your end, how are the emotions right now?
Well, we saw the Pope doing everything, even up to the last breath. Perhaps in the days before he died, he must have already felt something, wrong. But still, because it was the holy days, in the Catholic Church, he was able to go out, meet with people, bless the people with the Urbi et Orbi blessing. So we saw the Pope doing his utmost best in order to be with the people. So I guess it speaks a lot about who Pope Francis was, and he's really a man for the people and a Pope who actually make the papacy, okay, very human in the eyes of the people, especially because of the issues that he tackled, and some of these may be controversial in a sense, but then again, he was able to make people believe, in the church again, and a lot of people can attest to that.
Well, there are conversations here and in the Vatican if that was him gathering all the strength that he had to make a final tour of duty. Ano po yung sensing po ninyo dun sa mga ginawa niya nung mga final days po niya?
Well, yun nga yung binanggit ko sa iyo, Gretchen, talagang ginugol pa rin niya yung kanyang panalalabing panahon para ma-fulfill niya yung kanyang tungkulin bilang isang Santo Papa, blessing people and then addressing people. Kaya yung binanggit ko na ito yung pagpapakita niya na ang simbahan ay para sa mga tao. At naramdaman ng mga tao ito. Dahil lalong-lalo na ngayon meron tayong hindsight na meron na palang ganitong pwedeng mangyari at nangyari na nga. Pero ginawa pa rin ng Santo Papa yung lahat niya magagawa. Medyo nakakalungkot dahil biglaan in a sense dahil previous days very active pa niya ginagawa yung kanyang tungkulin. Tapos eto na nga nagulantang yung taong bayan dahil na-stroke, and at the same time isang araw lang matapos na naging very public ang kanyang mga gawain.
In many ways, Pope Francis is known as a Pope of many firsts. He is the first Jesuit, first Latin American, first non-European Pope since 741. Pero para po sa inyo, ano po yung pinaka matingkad na reform or pinaka naging impact ni Pope Francis na bukod sa pagdadala sa simbahan, mas maging malapit sa tao, para sa inyo sa lahat ng reforms po niya, what stands out?
Yung transparency. Transparency not only in financial matters, but transparency also when it comes to priests who have cases like sexual misconduct, corruption. Hindi ito itinago ng Santo Papa, bagkus ipinaalam niya sa taong bayan na may ginagawa ang simbahan. Sa transparency, for example, sa financial matters, yung Vatican Bank noon ay nireform niya, nireshuffle niya yung mga tao, pinanagot niya yung mga dapat managot. And then of course, when it comes to erring priests rather, ito yung mga pari na sangkot sa corruption cases, and then sexual misconduct cases. Dati-rati parang nililipat-lipat lang yan pero ngayon talagang tinanggal, natawag natin ito, dinifrock. Meron pang isang cardinal na defrocked. Diba? So pinakita lang po ng Santo Papa na para sa taong bayan, ang simbahan ay dapat lang na malinis, at ang linis ng simbahan ay hindi lamang dapat superficial. Internally, dapat may cleansing na mangyayari. And the Pope did just that.
And yun din nga pong aking finding when I went to the Vatican, that he was seen as very close, humble by the general public. But when it comes to his leadership in the church, he actually had a firm hand. Pero paano po natin naramdaman dito po sa Pilipinas yung kanyang leadership? Ano po yung mga nagawa niya in terms of, I guess, when it comes to the church authority?
Okay, I'll be focusing again on transparency, in financial matters. Ngayon, naging palasak na yung tinatawag nating stewardship. Ano yung concept ng stewardship? Dito sa Pilipinas at saka sa buong mundo, tagapangalaga lang naman kami ng resources ng simbahan, hindi na may pag-aari yan. Ngayon ay naging focus ang stewardship dahil nga sa reforms na ginawa ni Pope Francis. Dahil alam ninyo, yung mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon nanonood, ang feeling ng mga tao, napakalaki ang pera at resources ng simbahan. Akala nila, yung mga collections na yan, lahat yan ay napupunta talaga sa parokya, sa diocese, and then sa Vatican. So, milyon-milyon, sabihin pa natin billions ang pag-aari ng simbahan. But then again, anong pinalabas dito yung stewardship na yan, naintindihan ng tao na, hindi naman pala pag-aari yan ni Father. Hindi pag-aari ng diocese yan. Kundi pinangangalagaan lang yan. Kaya dapat lang merong sense of responsibility, but at the same time, kapag may nangyari na hindi maganda, maging accountable din. Papanagot natin yung mga dapat managot. Damang-dama natin yan dito sa Pilipinas. Pangalawa, balikan ko ulit yung sexual misconduct, transparency, ginito. May mga pari tayo dito sa Pilipinas na hindi na lang nalipat ng assignment. May mga pari na tinanggal talaga sa pagiging pare. Malungkot yun dahil yung iba kakilala pa nga namin. Ang iba ay talagang kaibigan namin. But then again, Pope Francis was very firm. Dapat na makita ng tao na hindi lang ito yung tipong quoted na reforms. But then we're doing really concrete actions para ma-address natin yung ganitong problema. So again, that is very much felt in the country now. Yung mga obispo natin, equally responsible sila. Kaya uma-action sila. Sabi ng Santo Papa, one false move lang ang paring yan kapag may ginawa yan na ganito, ganyan. Talagang dapat may gawin kayong proseso para dyan. Kaya yung mga obispo ngayon, dati-rati siguro, wala naman sanang magagalit na baka naman na pinag-undergo lang yan ng ganito, ng process, o baka sinuspend lang, o baka pinalamig lang muna, and then nilipat na naman. Pero ngayon, sabi ni Pope Francis, pag wala kayong ginawa, pati kayong mga obispo, mananagot kayo sa akin. That's how firm he was. When it comes to managing the church.
Well, Father, there are fears that his reformist approach may have a countering when it comes to the next pope to be. Kung progressive siya, that it might go back to conservatism. What is your sensing of the way forward for the church? Is there a chance for it to go the other way again?
Well, that observation of going into the extreme has always been common. Kasi kahit nga sa public sphere, nakikita natin yan. Halimbawa, yung America, Democrat, Republican. Di ba? Tapos conservative, liberal. Yun ang usual na kumbaga ay parang analysis. But then, in the church, meron tayong tinatawag dito na consultations. Sila halimbawa, pakatapos ng libing ni Pope Francis, meron silang general congregation na tinatawag. What does that mean? The cardinal electors will be meeting to discuss the issues besetting the church and also to somehow profile yung qualities ang dapat maging leader ng simbahan based on the current circumstances. So I don't want to parang pangunahan yung mga cardinal electors. But I think the wisdom of the cardinals ay maaasahan natin yan At saka kapag naging kumbaga consistent tayo doon sa laging sinasabi ng Simad that the Holy Spirit is also there guiding the cardinal electors. So palagay ko magkaroon tayo dito ng kumpiyansa sa gagawin nila. So ako naniniwala na yung binanggit ko kanina, kung ano yung pangailangan ng simbahan, they will be discussing issues, they will be looking at the circumstances, they will be looking at the needs of the church right now, and from out of these considerations, I think they will be choosing the best man for the job.
Okay, Father, there were also 3 encyclicals of Pope Francis that he put out. Yung Evangelii Gaudium, Laudato Si, and Fratelli Tutti. Ito po ba ay kumbaga institutionalized na within the church, or ito ay mga declarations lamang ng Santo Papa? At will these teachings remain? Paano po ba ang gawi po dyan?
Well, when a pope writes an encyclical, it becomes the official teaching of the church. Hindi naman yan yung tipong dahil ang Santo Papa lang ang nagsalita nito ay wala na. Tapos kapag halimbawa napalitan na ay sasantabi yun. Actually, kapag halimbawa binalikan natin yung mga iba pang encyclicals ng mga Santo Papa, nananatili yan ngayon, nagiging basis siya ng turo ng simbahan. And you cannot just undermine and then relegate it to the background dahil magbabago na naman ang pananaw ng simbahan. No, nagiging basis yun, nagiging foundation yun. In fact, makikita natin dito na sa pag-usad ng panahon, yung mga encyclicals na yan ay kino-quote pa nga sa mga bagong encyclical. Kasi yung mga previous encyclicals, bahagi na yan ng teachings at tradition ng simbahan na hindi mo pwedeng basa-basa na lang mabura. Case in point. Halimbawa yung Humani Vitae na naging masyadong controversial. Ano yung mga binanggit sa Humani Vitae? Pope Paul VI yan, ilang Santo Papa na lumipas. Nananatili pa rin yung, kumbaga, official ng simbahan. Yung contraception, ando doon yun sa Humani Vitae. Anong sinasabi ng Humani Vitae sa contraception? Ito talagang sin yan. Okay? Kaya ngayon, ganun pa rin ang pananaw ng simbahan. You cannot just easily change that.
But of course, he also had some more controversial teachings. For example, when it comes to the LGBTQ community, na sinabi niya na who am I to judge them? No? Parang nakasulat po ay sa kanyang sinabi na who am I to judge, when asked in 2013 about the Vatican Monsignor who was purportedly gay, and being homosexual is not a crime. Yung mga ganong bagay, paano po yun? I mean, will those remain still?
Well, totoo naman, Gretchen, homosexuality is not a crime. Wala namang legislations na nagsasabi na homosexuality is a crime. Well, for some people who are not perceptive enough, ang tingin lang nila dito very controversial, but that is the truth. Mag-search ka. Ewan ko lang sa mga ibang countries kung meron silang legislations against homosexuality. Baka sa mga Middle Eastern countries, I don't know. I'm not privy to it, pero baka ganon sila. But homosexuality itself is not a crime. However, kapag may ginawa ka na, ano yung ginawa mo? May ginawa sodomy, for example. Tapos may ginawa kang sexual act dyan at nahuli ka, unjust vexation yan. Yan ang mga krimen. Diba? Tama naman yung sinabi ng Santo Papa, there's nothing wrong with that. And then itong sinasabi who am I to judge? Wala naman talaga dapat mag-judge Hindi naman natin dinajudge. Halimbawa, sabihin natin, maging direct tayo, yung mga bading, yung mga tomboy, hindi naman sila dinajudge Pag lumapit sila sa amin, mga pare, pinapamano namin sila, bine-bless din namin sila as individuals. Wala naman talagang ganun ng mga panghusga. No? We do not even call them names. Yun nga lang, may problema dito dahil kapag pinilit mo na yung same-sex union, okay, ikakasal mo na yan, even the Pope naman, hindi naman sinabi na babae at babae pwede nang iasal.
So just a little bit more clarity.
Walang ganon.
So he did speak about care for a common home, social friendship, and political love amidst global conflict. Bilang panghuli po, Father Jerome, ano po ang aasahan po natin with the local church? In Manila Cathedral, there will be a mass. Who will be the cardinal presiding over that? And are we going to expect more masses to come in the 9 days of mourning?
Well, most definitely, mga misa ang makikita natin sa Pilipinas kasi ayun naman ang isa sa pagpapakita ng unang-una ay pakikiisa sa pagpanaw ng Santo Papa. Ipagdasal talaga natin ang kaluluwa ng Santo Papa. And then I think hindi lang Archdiocese of Manila ang gagawa niyan. Cardinal John Binco lang mamumuno ng Mass. Ang dami mga dioceses ngayon na yun ang ginagawa. Yung iba pa nga, nakita ko dito, baka may mga vigils. Yung iba pa nga siguro dito, baka may mga pa yan may mga novena pa, na para sa patay. So, yung iba nakita ko na sa Facebook, social media, yung mga ginamit ng Santo Papa, katulad ng Pope Mobile, yung upuan niya, o nagkakaroon na kagad ng mga, namang tawag natin ito, exhibit. So, ito ay pagkilala sa Santo Papa, pagbibigay ng pugay sa
Expressions of
kanya,
love.
at of course, pagpapahalaga, Santo Papa.
Abangan po natin yan, and we will be, the Catholic faithful will be, for sure, be part of those Mass celebrations. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us all about the activities of the Church. We have Father Jerome Ceciliano of the CBCP. Of course, the Pope, in true Francis fashion, has requested a departure from more elaborate funeral rites and has requested for a simple coffin and to be buried at the Santa Maria Maggiore. Maraming salamat po, Father.